everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of It's Our House podcast with me, Faz. I've got Chris with me. Say hello, Chris.
Hello.
I've got Stu. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, guy. How are you all doing, guys?
Yeah, not bad. And today we have a former Ring of Honor TV champion, a future Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, and the baddest man of all time, Shane Taylor. Welcome, my man. Welcome.
Man, thank you for having me on. That is a hell of an introduction. I want everybody to have these interviews. Study tape of this man. You see what I'm saying? The same thing is how I want y'all to do it, right?
Oh, Shane, I need to interrupt you, man.
But you did forget one thing.
What, buddy?
CEO, Shane Taylor.
Oh,
yes,
STP,
yes.
STP.
STP.
For the people. For the people.
I have to say, though, Shane, I need to let you know that we're on episode 3. You are our first non-British guest on our show, and it took Ring of Honor till episode 29 to get you on, man. What's that all about?
See what I'm saying? You see what I'm talking about? The disrespect. You know what I mean? And then you got people going, oh, Shane, you're crying about this. No, fam, I'm telling the truth. I always tell the truth. The last 2.5 years, I've been the MVP of the company.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? How do you not have me on before episode 29? First off, how do you have EC3 on before me?
Oh,
he just got here.
Disrespect.
Yeah, we're clipping that. We're clipping that.
I don't even gotta say no more. You see it. You see it.
Shane, all I'm going to say is Chris was a massive EC3 fan until we got in touch with you, and now it's all about the promotion, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. EC who?
Exactly.
Awesome. So, before we go on, Shane, I'd like to ask, obviously, about the election. The election's just happened over in America. Obviously, you know, there's likely to be a lot of change in the future, and with the possibility of wrestling unions being formed, how do you feel about the election? How it went? Are you happy? Are you looking forward to the future?
I mean, with any result, you were going to have to figure out what you were going to do and what choices you were going to make, right?
Yeah.
I think the last 4 years was eye-opening to both sides of the equation, right? For me, and for those who know the history of America and not the Disneyland rose-colored glasses version of it that they teach you in school, but the real history of it, these past 4 years weren't a surprise. Like, we were just like, yeah, now you get to see what we see, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they're still trying to reject that reality, right? So the last 4 years were eye-opening to millions of people, and I think that's why you had record voting now. People go, oh, I've been living under this false illusion forever, right? So now we've got a new president, but again, everybody can be happy until January 21st, right? Because for me, once you're sworn in, I'm like Sanka's granddad in Cool Runnings. Get back to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff we got to do. Like,
as long as it's not Sanka, you're dead, man.
Right. You know what I mean? We need to get back to work. There's a lot of stuff to fix. Some people won't be able to get back under the rock they crawled out of. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about where we're going. Time will tell, but progress is always progress.
Good, awesome, man. Awesome.
Excellent.
So,
Absolutely.
We'll bring it back to wrestling. So, can you tell me what your first memories of wrestling as a child were? What got you into it?
Man, thinking back, right? All right, so there was a venue in Ohio called the Richfield Coliseum, right? Mm-hmm. That's where all the old school WWF guys would go. My dad at the time, and still is, was like really big into bodybuilding and things of that sort. And so he had a friend by the name of Ron Short who owned a gym around the area. So all the guys coincidentally would go into that gym because it was close. And I would get to sit there and see my dad lift with like the Road Warriors and all these dudes, watching them put up ungodly amounts of weight. And now that I lift myself, it's even more mind-boggling to go, Jesus, like, why are you that strong? You know what I mean? Like, don't need for it. You know what I mean? But those are my first memories of interacting with the guys, and it wasn't until like as far as memorable moments in ring for me, were seeing Ron Simmons power slam Vader and win the world championship, right? And at that moment, other than Bobo Brazil, who's got a legitimate claim at the title, you know what I mean? Being recognized as the first African American world champion, those moments were inspirational to me because it was one of the first times that there was no gimmick to this guy's to who he was, right? He didn't have to have dog chains on, he didn't have to bark, he didn't have to have birds, he didn't have to dance, none of that shit. Like it was just, this is a badass athlete who's worked his way up and is now the man. End of story, right? And a lot of people in this industry are afraid of those moments because for them, they just look at it from the dollar perspective. Like, okay, in marketing, you want to market, you want to cast the widest net possible, which means you want your product to relate to the most people possible. I understand that. At the same time, you're also dealing with in a business that you can't forget about sections of fans that you have. And it's always important to reach out and bring more of those fans in, especially when you're talking about my minority fans in general, because, and this is just me talking about how stuff works, right? When you look at pop culture, a lot of what drives the cool factor and things of that sort is Black culture, right? So it only makes sense to me that you would go, hey, well, let's figure out a way to tap into this and bring this element into our product and broaden who we can bring in, broaden our fan base, right? And moments like that with Ron inspired me. And so what I want to do now is go, okay, cool. Let's have these moments continue and inspire the next set of generations, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm not here to entertain everybody. I'm here to entertain everybody. Shane Taylor Promotions is for everybody. I just understand that on this platform, especially looking the way I do, there is a special sort of responsibility that I have to those who come from where I come from and who look like me, to be able to deliver that message and be a positive image on TV as opposed to always being thrown negative.
Definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well said.
Absolutely. So you say obviously what you want to do, you want to inspire future generations, you want to entertain all generations going forward, but what were your original goals when you were like a really young kid? Because obviously we know that you studied business management, you practiced boxing for a long time as well, you played American football at university, but what was it that you really wanted to do? Was there one thing? Was it always wrestling or?
It was always wrestling, but as a kid, I didn't know how to get into wrestling, right? Like there was no, the availability of schools wasn't there. It was much more protected. You know what I mean? So I didn't know how to get into wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I knew it was like, all right, well, you would probably have to go to this company. I'm sure they show you how to wrestle, but I didn't know the process of that. So along the way as a kid, you do other things that you're interested in. You play football, you amateur wrestle, you do track and field, you know what I mean? And you do all these things. Boxing's been in my family for decades, you know what I mean? So we all did that. And so it wasn't until after college, like I found out about independent wrestling. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know outside of WWF at the time and WCW that you could do this, right? So there was a local place when I was living in Pittsburgh at the time called the International Wrestling Cartel, right? And there I ran into some guys by the name of Raymond Rowe and Jerry Myers, who were doing a tag team called the Cleveland Mafia. Now, I had known Ray from high school because we amateur wrestled there. He won, but I was sick that day, so don't worry about it. But talking to them, I was like, okay, and they showed me what things were, and I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. Like I've always tried to get here. Now here's my chance, and the rest is history.
So I like saying that you got into the 2007 when you really started coming into wrestling. So you'd have been around about 21 at the time. Is that right? About 21, yeah. Yep. So did you find that a challenge? Because from obviously looking at other people's past, you find out they started 13, 14 at that time. Obviously 21. It's not, you're not old by any means unnecessary, but obviously you've got that green aspect to go through first. Did you find that more of an issue, or did you find it was like duck to water?
Not really, because like for me, amateur wrestling plays right into pro wrestling, right?
Yep.
Especially when you're talking about foot placement, hip movement, snap to your techniques, chain wrestling, like that. It's all adaptable, right? So I think my transition was easier. Also, and this is just me, I'm a very fast learner. I adapt to things quickly. So I while there is a learning curve, I think I was able to pick up on things and and sort of fast track that for myself, right? But and then at the same time, you really don't learn this game until you're in it for a bit. You know what I mean? And so I think starting a little later saves your body, and you're able to handle some of the beating better than when your body is still young and you're developing. You see what I'm saying? Like there's a reason why you can't go to the NFL out of high school.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it takes a few years to grow and mature your body and then be put in that sort of place for violence.
Cool.
Cool. I mean, in just under a week, you'll have been in Ring of Honor for 6 years now. It was November 14th, 2014. So what were your goals when you first joined Ring of Honor? Did you have a timeline of how long you wanted it to be until you won whatever it might be that you won? Was there anything in particular you wanted to do, or were you just happy to be getting a shot in a promotion like Ring of Honor?
A little bit of everything. You know what I mean? I don't do anything to be second place. I don't do anything to be an afterthought. I'm not a JV player. You know what I mean? I'm a starter. I mean, it's always been like that. So while I was happy to be there, I know at the end of the day, this is still a business. I'm still competing, and I'm not here to just be a guy on the roster. Like my goals then were the same goals that I have now. I want everything. You know what I mean? I've already won the TV title. I want the World Championship. I want the tag team titles. I want the six-man titles. Like I'm not a pure wrestler, but if I was, I would want that too. You know what I mean?
You're just greedy, really. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like one of the long-term goals that I had was to be sort of that lifer, like the Briscoes are, right? Yeah. There was something so cool to me about just saying, you know what, screw it. We're going to take this place on our shoulders, and it's going to go as far as we carry it. There's something very badass to me about that, right? Now, obviously, you know, business and things change, and, you know, that may or may not happen. You know what I mean? But that was still the goal. And what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve has always been the same. I want to be the guy that carries the ball. I want to be the guy, win or lose, I take that shot. You know what I mean? I feel as though I have the confidence in myself to be able to do that. But that's just, you know, that's just me.
But you need that, though. But you need that to progress. I mean, you can't really have that. Just you can't go in and say, oh, I'm going to do okay. You need to be, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it by a scruff of the neck. I'm going to win everything. Because otherwise, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah. Why are you here if you don't think that way? Yeah. You know what I mean? Call it confidence, call it arrogance, call it whatever you want. But usually the people that are talking shit about that and complaining are the ones losing. You see what I'm saying?
Shane,
I've never heard somebody winning go, oh, well, you know, it's just not about winning. Like, no, it is. It's about fucking winning. Sorry to cuss, but
no, you're
it
good,
is.
man. You're good. I have the saying, though, it's not arrogance if you can back it up.
100%. 100%. And like I said, you would be hard pressed to find more people in Ring of Honor that have had a better 2.5, 3 year stretch than me.
Yep, 100%.
You know, absolutely.
I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? You could throw out Taven, valid argument. The recent success of John Gresham, valid argument. But over the last 2.5, 3 years, nobody's been more consistent than me. Nobody's been at that level like I've been. So, I mean, that's just facts.
How have you found the pandemic? Obviously slowing down and then coming right back to it. How was the pandemic? How did you feel during that time?
I mean, it was cool. Like, I actually injured my shoulder since we were talking about Joe Hendry. I injured my shoulder in the match with Joe Hendry at York Hall and essentially finished the match like with one arm, right? And then did the rest of the tour, did the rest of the matches, and everybody was kind of getting hurt. And I was like, yo, they need me to wrestle these matches. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And got through that tour, did exactly what I needed to do, performed like I always do. And I was just going to keep going until I couldn't, right? And so then the pandemic hit, and it was a blessing and a curse, because yes, you have all that time off, but at the same time, you get all that time off, right? So it was, the longest layoff of my career, but, I had the chance to heal and take time and really get things back where I needed them to be. And so the only thing that was left to combat was getting back into ring shape. But then it's like, because your mind plays the most tricks on you, right? Because you're like, damn, did I forget how to wrestle? What's this? And you're forgetting the names of things. And you're like, oh man, I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna suck. You know what I mean? And then you get back in there, and you're like, oh, this is fine. Like I've done this for 13 years now. I've got it. You know what I mean? Like,
because I'm right in saying I listened to you on that Ring of Honor podcast, and you did mention that you never had a ring in those times. It was literally from you stepping out of your Ring of Honor before COVID hit to you walking back into the ring when COVID was under control-ish. You were happy to go back. There was no in between there where you were in a ring, so it would have been a case of ring rust as such. Am I right in saying?
Right, like that, and that's totally what I was expecting, right? So, really, too, and you got to think about it. Like, after Final Battle, I have the match with Dragon Lee, and we were sort of building to my first match in the 2020 when all of this hit. So, the match with the Briscoes was like my first match of the year. Mm-hmm. And it was like, damn, that's a long time not to and so it was like, and like here I was able to get into some rings, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like football, right? At least American. Like there's a difference between practice speed and game speed.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Once it was back in there, it was like, and I felt the difference, but we got through it. The match was solid, and it was like, all right, now that you got the nerves out, that first one out of the way, now it's just business as usual.
How you find it with no crowd?
It's weird at first, right? Mm-hmm. Because everything you do, right? Because everything you do is basically dictated off crowd response. Yeah. So now there's a different pacing that you have to have, because you can't just judge it off the sound that you're hearing, right? You just kind of have to have that internal clock. But you draw, and me being a big energy guy, I feed off those hostile environments, right? So I have to find different ways to keep that energy. And a lot of that is me providing it myself and then getting it from my opponents. And anytime you're in there with the Briscoes, you had better bring all the energy, bro. Because if not, they're just going to beat your ass. Like, so
they're mad, those two, man.
You got to be ready for the Briscoes. Got to.
So you said before about carrying, Ring of Honor. That's where you're going to be. That's the future. In the past, you've obviously wrestled with someone who's now on the WWE main roster, in Keith Lee. It's actually, I think it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Keith.
Happy birthday,
Keith. Definitely watching this.
So what was it like?
Don't worry.
Yeah, what was it like wrestling with him? And do you still keep in touch and all that type of thing?
Oh, we talk damn near daily. You know what I mean? Whether it's a text here or a message or funny meme or what, you know what I mean? Like I keep in touch with all my guys. Wrestling with Keith was fantastic and frustrating, right? And not in like any real negative way. It was because he does so much stuff that you're sitting there and we get into arguments like, fam, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Like, all right, fair enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't say shit to the guy. You know what I mean? So, when you get it in the ring with performers like that and athletes like that, it forces you to take your game to another level, right? So, it was the same feeling that you get when you're in there with the Briscoes, or when I'm in there with Ray Rowe. You're in there with guys who force you to be better, right?
Yeah. And
for me, that's great because I need people like that. If I've got somebody chasing me or I'm chasing someone, that's when I'm at my best. So being in there and being surrounded by those type of guys, especially in my crew that we keep small for a reason, that's the best thing ever, right? So I'm totally proud of the success that they've had. Wish nothing but success for them.
Because sorry, Kev. No, I was going to say, because yourself, like obviously yourself and Keith, without being disrespectful, you wouldn't think you're as agile as you should be. But I mean, both of you can move in that ring, you know, and
Yeah,
do things that are.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, if you look at both of you, the effort you put in, but it's effortless.
Yep,
you know, when 100%. You see it, it's effortless.
Mm-hmm.
You're very, very talented guys.
I mean, like that was the whole point, right, of the Pretty Boy Killers moniker, right? There are so many misconceptions about what a champion or what a superstar or what a star looks like in this sport, right? Yeah. There are so many people that when you think world champion, guys like Keith Lee and myself don't come to mind, right? But then you look at the history, especially when you deal with like places like Ring of Honor, right? You're talking about the Samoa Joes, the Takeshi Morishimas, the Kevin Steens, the Homicides, the Punks, the Aries, the guys that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Right. Like the guys that never fit that prototypical image of what a champion is supposed to be. And yet you're talking about some of the most dominant competitors in the world, right? So that was the point, was us going, hey, we don't care what you think a star looks like. We don't care if your image of a star is this 6'4" jack guy with a six-pack. That doesn't make you a better fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's the one thing about.
Please go ahead.
I was going to say, that's the one thing about Ring of Honor I've always thought, though, was obviously throughout the years in the WWE, for example, you've had your Hulk Hogan's, your Ultimate Warriors. They were your stereotypical champions. Then you got your Chris Benoit's and you got your Eddie Guerrero's. They were a bit different. But now at Ring of Honor, I've pushed these players like yourself, like Keith Lee, like Samoa Joe, like Kevin Owens, these players, the people you've all mentioned. They're not your poster boy champions, but they can do as much as anybody else, if not more. And if it wasn't for Ring of Honor, you wouldn't have these people where they are right now.
And that's been my point, right? And that's the influence that I feel like they've had, and that's what Ring of Honor is at its roots. You know, like they're talking about now, like it's a two-party system. Like it's like, oh no, well it's pure wrestling. Oh no, it's violence. And I'm like, no, both of those aspects brought them notoriety. But what Ring of Honor was at its core is independent, right? It is that bucking against the system. It is that against the corporate norm, against the corporate image. They were the place that the rebels went. They were the place that the originals went. They were the place that said, you know, screw your tradition. We're still the best, and went out there and proved it every single night, right? And the fan base was just like that. You know what I mean? The people that went to those shows felt like the wrestlers. Like, hey, people don't take us serious, or we're not the people that, you know, are going to be thought of first, but we work just as hard. We can do just as much. And those things like made this perfect marriage of performers with that attitude, fans with that attitude, and it blossomed into something special. You know what I mean? So for me, that's what the heart and soul of Ring of Honor is that rebellious originality. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It reminds me as well of like in the 90s of ECW, because ECW people that in the 90s of like, you know, Sabu's and your Rhinos and Taz and Dudleys, these were all outcasts as such from the WWEs and WCWs, but Paul Heyman brought them along. And you've seen, obviously we've seen it all in the WWE network or whatever, but the electricity in the stadiums, arenas each time is very similar to what you have in the Ring of Honor, because like you say, it's your hardcore, you know, underground type, not your everyday you see it on the television, the way it's going to be kind of diluted down for the full fans, if that makes sense, from ages between 3 and 30 or whatever. Ring of Honor and ECW very similar in that scenario, I feel.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And here's the thing, right? Like people hear independent and they think small. I'm not saying you can't grow your business. I'm not saying you can't try to be mainstream. What I'm talking about is the attitude and the mindset in which you take into it, right? For example, right? There is a difference between being the champion of a company and being a company champion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is being a champion of a company, being for the people, growing that market, growing that company as you stay true to who you are, not simply going along with the flow and thinking, oh, well, I'm doing what they want and they gave me this, that somehow that's success. It's not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Doing things your way and changing it for the better. That's what success is.
Cool.
Could not agree more.
Just moving on a wee bit now, though, Shane. We were talking about how you got into the game a wee bit later in that, and you also mentioned how you learn more coming through the years and that when you actually get onto. We spoke to Grado a few weeks ago, and he said that you never learn until you actually wrestle someone with higher ability as yourself at the time. Being in Ring of Honor, you've wrestled with some you've been on a card with some absolutely incredible people. You've had Bullet Club, Bully Ray, Hangman Page, the Briscoe Brothers, like we said. What did you learn a lot from them, not just in the ring, but in the backstage as well? Was there a lot of things that you've thought, you know what, I'm going to take that on board, or what they give you as a kind word, etc.? Did you find that a lot of that was when you're looking at the, I'm going on here, sorry, when you're looking at the card with the legends that you've had on it?
Oh, definitely. The Briscoes for sure, right? Like, just because you mentioned them, man, like, I used to be watching them on TV, right? And now they're my peers, right? Like now, like I go out there and perform, and usually one of the first people that I see are one of the Briscoes coming back to be like, hey, Shane, right? And offering me whatever words that they have, whether it's to fix something or to support me, right? And they don't have to do that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't. But they do, because that's just the kind of dudes that they are, right? And so they're always there to help me. Minus the times that I gotta beat their ass. But other than those times, guys like Kenny King, guys like Caprice Coleman, Rhett Titus have meant so much to my career, because I am not one that walks away from confrontation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't seek it out, but I'm also not going to run from it, right? So there's a lot of times where I'm like, all right, well, then then let's do this. And they're like, not the time. You know what I mean? Like, take a step back, avoid this landmine, come over here, you know, and kind of just weave through the bullshit. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, in lessons in the ring, lessons outside of it, they've been a tremendous help. Bully Ray has taught me.
Yeah, I mean, oh
yeah, I mean, like, say what else you want about the guy, right? A lot of people think he's an asshole, and I'm sure if you asked him, he'd be like, yeah, they probably have the right to think so, right? Like, it is what it is. But at the same time, he's also a very straightforward person. So a lot of people who don't deal with people like that can feel can feel put off by that, right? So he's taught me a lot of things business wise, and the way he thinks about the game is on a whole different level, right? So seeing those things and figuring out how he came up with something like that, and then you start to try to change the way you think about it. You know what I mean? Then that can put you to, you know, to think of outside the box things that can elevate who you are and what you're trying to do. So, I mean, the goal is to learn a little bit from everybody. But yeah, I mean, those guys in particular, tremendous helps.
Cool.
Shane, let's talk about the Ring of Honor TV Championship. So you won it on May the 9th, 2019. Obviously, you've lost it since, won it back again, and then unfortunately lost it again. Just for everyone, yeah.
He's an EC3 fan, remember?
Always.
Kick him, man. Kick him.
But how did it feel? How did it feel to win such a prestigious title, a title with that so many other big names had won in the past? How did it feel to win it so quickly within only less than 5 years of being with the promotion?
It felt great. You know what I mean? And again, I'm someone who strives to make history. I want to put my name in the record books. I want Mount Rushmore. I want those things, right? So to be able to have held that championship, especially being Only the third African American male to do so, behind Jay Lethal and Kenny King, meant the world to me. You know what I mean? Because these are guys that I look up to, right? These are guys that I'm chasing legacy wise. So to be able to add my name to that list was absolutely fantastic, right? And then I knew right away what my purpose was going to be as soon as I won it, right? Because there were multiple reactions in the building. A lot of them were shocked. Like, oh, we got a new fucking champion? Oh, shit. Then a lot of people were like, oh, boo, boo, boo. And it's off camera, you won't be able to see it. There was a group of like maybe 30 black fans in the back. Absolutely going mental. Going absolutely nuts. And at that moment, I was like it sort of clicked. It's just to go, that's why this platform is so, you know what I mean? There were kids there. Who knows if me winning that title just inspired one of those kids to come out and be a wrestler. He could be the wrestler that changes the game. You know what I mean? Exactly. Any of that is possible. So right at that moment, I knew, okay, this is exactly where I need to be and what I need to be doing.
Did you find?
Do you want to win it back, or sorry, Stuart? Do you want to win it back, or is that sort of behind you now? Or do you want to move on to the World Championship? Or
I want my title back, but I'm gonna be wrestling for a long time still, so I feel like there's always time to do that. But I also have other targets on my list as well. So if the opportunity presents itself, I will capitalize on it. But there are definitely other goals that I want to check off the list first.
I'm glad you said other goals there, because I'm just going to do a wee list for you here. I don't think you know this, Shane, but anyway, Eddie Edwards, Ring of Honor World Champion. Christopher Daniels, Ring of Honor World Champion. Sami Zayn, NXT. Jay Lethal, Ring of Honor. Roderick Strong, Ring of Honor. Adam Cole, Ring of Honor, NXT. Matt Taven, Ring of Honor. Ciampa, NXT. Then we've got Will Ospreay, Jr., IWGP. Matty Skirtle, same, IWGP. Kushida, IWGP. Jeff Cobb, Ring of Honor. And then we've got Dragon Lee, IWGP Jr. That's a big list of people that have won that list, have won the title that you have had. I've went on. No pressure here, Shane.
Listen, man, I am somebody that thrives under pressure. I love situations like that. That's when I'm at my best, especially when I know that there are people like actively rooting against me or like actively hoping to see me fail. Oh, that's the best. That's the best. Because then when I achieve it, I get to look and be like, ha! Ha! You know what I mean? Not only did I do this, but I made you look stupid while doing it. It's a win-win for you. It's a win-win.
When you won the title, obviously it is a prestige title, and that you have. Did you find that a bit nervous as such? Did you find a huge responsibility? Because not always, like we've seen it before with CM Punk, for instance, when he had the World Heavyweight title. The title doesn't make the person makes the title. Did you find that was going to be a bit of a challenge, or did you think, you know what, I'm going to do this? I am Shane. I'm going to be that man.
I think at first that was the case, where I think people wanted the title to make me. And then once I saw, like, all right, you're not promoting me like other champions, things aren't going the way I've seen them go for other people, I decided to do what I wanted to do to put my spin on it and add my sort of, to make my impression, right? And so that's what inspired me to create Shane Taylor Promotions, is to go, look, no one's going to believe in you more than you, right? And yet I see that at this time, Ring of Honor, you can promote literally every other company, every other individual, but the guys busting their ass here. So I'll do it myself. You know what I mean? I'll take care of it myself, do my thing. And lo and behold, I turned that into one of the most dominant TV runs of recent memory, right? A lot of people come up to me and go, hey, man, other than the Jay Lethal run, that's my favorite run, is the run that you had. And with all the names you just mentioned, for me to be at the top of that list, or in the conversation at the top of that list, shows me that I did something right.
100%.
You know, so now
Absolutely,
it's just to build off that, elevate the guys that I have around me, Ron, Khan, Moses, O'Shea Edwards, bring those guys up with me, because it's great when you succeed, but when you can pull others up with you and you all succeed, that's what this shit is about.
Yeah, I was actually going to say from the conversation we're having, the thing that really pulls out for me is inspiration. That's what kind of you're pushing for, to inspire, to get the next generation of wrestlers and the Black African community to come in and change the game, really. Like people like yourself, people like Kofi Kingston, people who have been in positions where I can't believe that's happening, and it's sad that we have to think that way. But it's just so refreshing to see, man. So I want to say, it's brilliant to see,
brother. You know what I mean? Like that means the world to me, right? Because to me, it's just that simple. It's just that easy, right? And where some people see inspiration and change, other people see fear. Other people see, well, my sport is changing from the sport I love. Like, bro, shit changes, bro. Shit changes. Like, it's not always going to be, the way you want it to be. Things are going to change. Things are going to progress. You can either choose to go with it or fight against it, right? I'm a person that chooses to go with it. And so many people, especially when you talk about people higher up and people in management, they're so fixed on things being one way, right? And for me, that's sad, right? Because when you can incorporate all your fans, to me, that's the essence of business.
Yep.
I want to incorporate as many people as possible, bring as many fans in as possible, make as much money as possible. So why would I forget about groups of my fan base?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would I forget about any of them, right? I want to create memories that everybody can go, oh, well, this is why I'm coming. Well, this is why I'm coming. Well, this is why I'm coming. Great. You're all in the building. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I shouldn't have to have a cookie cutter way of presenting everybody in order to feel like I should be able to make money. I should be able to go, no, we're going to take what you do, take what you do, take what you do. Oh, I like that. Bring that. And let's all make this work.
Cool.
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
definitely.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question, seeing that Faz took my question.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Shane Taylor's promotion. Loving it, right? Really, really good. Loving the promo, loving the whole thing of it. Why the guys? Why did you pick those guys?
Because I wanted to be able to, like, when you deal with a team, right? Like Khan, Moses, Ron Hunt, O'Shea, these guys aren't my employees. They don't work for me.
No,
for me, this is like being a team. I just happen to be the face of the franchise. You know what I mean? I'm the captain of the team, right? And so synergy on a team is everything. You have to have chemistry. You have to have a like mindset. You have to have similar goals, right? And the goals that we all agree on are trying to create not only legacies for ourselves, but legacies that the next generation can see and build off of. And for so many, especially in our community, they are only fed negative images of themselves, negative images of the culture. And this is movies, music, TV, and they are just bombarded with all these things and being told their whole lives, you can't be shit. You can't do shit. This is the only thing you can do. And it's negative. Mm-hmm. And we were like, we need to change that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so many of our stars from previous generations were only worried about, well, I got mine, fuck the rest of them. And nothing changes when you do that. Nothing changes. Like, it's great you got yours, but there's still a million people over here not getting anything. Yep. And as long as you continue to just worry about yourself, nothing ever changes, right? There's no reason for it to. So we wanted to be a part of that change. And I'm personally one of the people that goes, I will stand on the front line. I will take those bullets. I will take those arrows. If it means I have to shield the next guy so he can slip behind me and get through that door, then that's what it is. You know what I mean? But that's how you create change. That's how you create groups like this and not have them feel like they're out of the norm. Because then once you make it normal, then you start changing the perception of what champions can be, of what stars can be. And then it's not a special thing. Then it's just a normal thing, which in my mind is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it in WWE with the Hurt Business at the moment as well, aren't we? You know, they're taking up the majority of Raw most weeks, and they're arguably probably the best part of Raw as well.
Yeah.
And exactly. And at that stage, right, you're like, oh shit. Like, and fans can see that, younger kids can see that. And now not only are you changing, let's break it down by group, right? So for the black youth that are seeing them, positive imagery, guys in suits going out there being athletes, not being stereotypes, right?
Yep.
And then for other groups to see black men in suits, not being stereotypes, going out there and just being athletes, it sends two messages, but they're both positive messages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
They're breaking one mindset of you can be more than this, and telling another mindset they are more than this. You see what I'm saying? So it's a positive on both sides, and they're entertaining everybody. Just because they're inspiring one group doesn't mean they're taking away from another. You see what I'm saying?
100%.
And that getting a lot of these people to realize that has been such a challenge, because they're like, oh well, you can't talk about this because it'll scare folks here. And I'm like, no, it only scares you. There's not been one fan, one podcaster, one interview that I've done that go like, well, Shane, aren't you forgetting about us? And I'm no.
The only thing I can think of before that would have been the Nation of Domination. They were really the only kind of faction as such that was kind of like the same aspect of the Hurt Business or STP.
Right, but
New Day as well, maybe.
You said what?
New Day, maybe. Sort of, you could throw them into there. Obviously, it was a bit of a different vibe of the New Day, but
the New Day,
silly.
The New Day in the way.
Of course, and all respect to that group, because they were able to open up those doors that a lot of us were able to walk through. But at the end of the day as well, this is where I feel like they missed just this much, right? They still fell into that angry, militant black guy.
Yeah.
Role. You see what I'm saying?
100%.
Right. So that was still like the role that they were put in. Now you had great things come out of it, right? But that was still there. And I think groups have evolved a little bit past that and are able to go, look, you don't have to be militant or be angry. But at the same time, angry gets shit done. Like, yes, we are athletes, we are businessmen, but we are all college educated. We are all family men. We are all people that want to be pillars of our community. And this is the platform in which we choose to do it. Now, we can laugh and joke as much as the next guy, but if we need to fuck you up,
it's happening. It's happening.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that should be on a poem or something. You know what I mean? That was brilliant. Put that on a hologram. Put that on a card.
Right. I'll tell that bitch to Hallmark. Like, hey, if I have to.
So when it comes to, obviously we spoke about the fans, we spoke about the wrestlers. When it comes to the African community, how would you change the backstage politics?
I would put more people of ethnic backgrounds in positions of power, especially at management and ownership levels, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, you can't market to a group if nobody in your circle understands the culture. If you don't understand the people, you don't understand the culture, there's no way you're able to market or bring characters to them that they're going to support, because it's not in your wheelhouse, right? And we're talking about merchandising, etc., right? Or for example, the Jordan Miles situation, right? If you have people that are of different backgrounds and ethnicities in those marketing meetings, shirts like that don't get made.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Especially if you're hiring people that are real people and not just corporate yes men, right? If you're hiring real people, like if that was me in that meeting, I'd be like, excuse me, listen, that image looks a lot like this. We put that shirt, we're gonna have a fucking problem. So you can put it out if you want, but I wouldn't advise it. Like, and that would have saved them how many millions of dollars, how much internet flack, how, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? A whole lot. You know what I mean? So changing management, changing some ownership, and having more people of ethnic backgrounds in those positions, to me, that does a world of good, because now you've also got a level of comfort with talent to be able to come and talk to people, right?
Yeah.
You don't just have to feel alienated or like, well, if I say anything, I'll be classified as this, or if I do anything, I'll be classified as this. You can actually go and see, you know, that people have everybody's interest in mind, not just one particular group.
Yeah. Is that what you're looking to do after your career's over? You're going to go into that world?
I'm doing it right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's
awesome.
That's what Shane Taylor Promotions is, right? Like, obviously, there's only so many people that are going to be on a roster, right? But I want to expand Shane Taylor Promotions, not just to Ring of Honor, but to the independents as well. Give people, you know, lines to merchandising, ways to create their own brand, create their own image, be their own business. And then you don't have to go to a company for a job, because you create your own job, right?
Yeah.
Then they're to you, not the other way around. You see what I'm saying? So then you can have guys and girls making their living on the independents and making great livings, and not having to worry about, well, do I have to change my style up to fit this company? No, because you create what people want to see. So people are coming, they're spending money, they see that, and if they want to do business with you, because you're essentially a business, right? So this is now business to business transactions. This is not, you know, you're lucky to be here. Like, no, I want your platform. You want my ability. We both make money. That's what this shit is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn
So
right.
when they come to you, they're coming to you with the knowledge of this is who you are. So then why would they change who you are if that's what drew them to you? You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's
exactly.
the goal, to be able to give people those keys and help them create their own job and not have to look for one.
Awesome.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say about that, though, because it's very true what you said, because I'm just thinking as an example, kind of, is Matt Hardy. When he left WWE, well, he got kind of punted from WWE because he was kind of stale. He then became Broken Matt Hardy. They loved it. It was his own gimmick. He created it. They got him back, and then they just ruined him again. So you also got to worry about where you're going as well. You know, you got to, what are they going to do for you as much as what you're going to do for them?
Exactly. And one of the best examples of that is Samoa Joe, right? The way he made his deal and his business acumen was great, because he was like, yo, you're bringing me in as Samoa Joe. You could change my name, but I'm not selling any t-shirts as Samoa Mike. I am Samoa Joe. That's who I am. That's who you want. That's who they know. So why would we not just keep this and keep the ball rolling, right? I'll trademark my stuff, lease it to you, and when I leave, I get my shit back, and we all and things spin forward, right? So, like, saying that was like that's the perfect way to do it.
It is, my man. Totally. It is. Yeah. So, what does the future hold for yourself? The next year, the next 2 years for yourself, and obviously Shane Taylor Promotions. What is your goal?
Say that one more time, because homie broke up. Say that one more time.
Ring of Honor World Champion, he said.
Oh, I mean, that's the goal, man. You know what I mean? That is the goal up until this point, right? In the damn near 20-year history of Ring of Honor, there's only been one guy like myself to achieve that goal, and that's Jay Lethal, right?
Yeah.
I want to change that in the worst way, right? In the worst way, right? Now, again, I know not everybody is on board with what I'm trying to do. I understand that the way I present things makes some people nervous. The way I speak, because I tell the truth a lot of times, makes people nervous. So people aren't jumping at the chance to probably give me that championship. But regardless, again, I'm going to continue to perform like only I can. And I'm going to continue to do the things that only I can do. And at some point, it's just going to be blatantly obvious that I'm the guy that's supposed to be leading this company forward. And people that are against it really just are going to have to sit back and shut the fuck up.
I love it. Love it.
Love it. Love it.
So we've got obviously a guest coming on next week, Stu. Do you want to mention who that particular guest is?
No, I'll let Shane do that.
Wait, I know?
You know.
Yeah, you
Ron.
know.
I told you.
Oh, bro, listen, I'm answering messages and I'm just like, wait, what? Oh, yes. Yes. Next week, who helped create the vision, the man who handles all the things behind the scenes, the man who does all the dirty work. of Shane Taylor Promotions, my man Rev Ron Hunt will be the guest next week. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Can't wait. So
Can't wait for that.
so much
We
for
are,
coming on.
as you probably noticed, though, Shane, we are big fans of Shane Taylor Promotions. So does that mean that we, as It's Our House podcast, are affiliated the UK version of Shane Taylor Promotions? Do we get involved there? Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm all for it. As far as y'all are in. You know what I mean?
Love
Of course,
it.
Honorary members.
Yes, my man. Yes.
All the members of Shane Taylor Promotion, get in.
of course, you gotta talk to Ron. You know what I'm saying?
I'll speak to Ron next.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm concerned, you're in. You're in.
Yeah, man. That's what I love. I love to hear. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, Shane. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything, obviously, you'd like to promote before you leave?
Of course. Twitter and Instagram at Shane216Taylor. Facebook, Notorious Shane Taylor. If you're in the merch buying mood, head on over to ROHWrestling.com. Hit the pro shop. Plenty of great gear there. And, of course, ProWrestlingTees.com/Shane Taylor. Great merchandise there. It's been a hell of a 13 years, and look forward to, 20 more.
Oh, we're going to mention you every single pod now going forward for the rest of our lives. So, you know what I mean? That's just how it is.
That's all I ask. That's there one time for your boy.
Shane, we need to get you back on, bro.
Hey, anytime. Anytime.
You're a legend,
Watch this space. That's all I'm going to say is watch this space.
Be careful driving 4 hours.
Yeah. Safe journey, mate. Safe journey.
Here we go.
Take care, brother.
Take care.
Take care, Shane. All the best. And come on, Cavs.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
That was brilliant. What a guest. What a guest.
Yeah, by the way, that was 100 times better than I thought it was going to be.
The man
he's a cool dude, by the way. He's a cool dude. He's got a lot of things to say, and he's kind of one of those people, when you talk, you listen. You know what I mean? Not in a bad way, in a proper, inspirational way, like you said earlier on, Faz.
Yeah, it's just...
I had high hopes for that. And they were all my expectations were exceeded.
Definitely. I mean, there was no question he wouldn't answer, no question he wouldn't go into detail with. He's just open, and obviously now we're all honorary members. Which,
yes.
We've all got to be happy with that, haven't you, Stu? You better get on that website. You better order our T-shirts. And in January 1st, we'll all be repping them.
100%, by the way. 100%. I'm going to get Shane Taylor Promotion daft.
So, Stu, do you want to pull your Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz like you usually do?
Yeah, so for myself, it'll be at slawson1417. At slawson1417.
And the legend, that is Chris. Speak to us, boy.
At PWCDs. Check us out on Instagram as well, because we're really starting to sort of push Instagram. You'll see some stuff there that you might not see on Twitter, might not see on Facebook. So I think basically everywhere we are, it's just at It's Our House Pod.
Yeah. The future's looking bright for us all. We've got a lot of things coming up over the next few weeks. As we said, Ron's on next week, so that should be interesting. Hopefully, he can talk for the full hour and we can sit back and listen to his amazing promos. So again, check me out. It's Faz's Thoughts. It's Faz's Thoughts. I was going to say that. At Faz's Thoughts. FAZZ. I don't know. FAZZAS Thoughts and at It's Our Pod. So thank you very much. I love you both. I love you
Chris,
both.
glad you're saying that. I love the deck, mate. I really love the deco, and it's really suiting you well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful, isn't it? Unicorns. You didn't ask Shane about unicorns.
I know.
We'll do that next time.
I thought we'll do it. We'll do it with Ron. And what we'll do next time we get Shane on, we'll talk about unicorns. How about that?
Yeah. Just so you know, for those who are listening on the pod, Chris has a beautiful background of a unicorn on as well. It's so pretty. Right.
All right, Chris.
Take it easy, guys.
You can't see it on Spotify, mate. You cannot see it on Spotify. It's okay.
Say goodbye. Take it easy, guys. See you later.
Bye.